All right. Hello everyone. This is Shooting Zhao. Welcome to the Kyverno contributors meeting. Today is April 29th. We have so in today's meeting we'll update the 136 status, and then we have a few items to be discussed list on the agenda. All right. Let me first give you an update of the 136 milestone. So in this release, we have features that supports the string manipulation, like the regex match and some other functions in Jimmy's path. And then we have support the set operations. Previously, I think we only allow a few, like greater than equals to, but now we can do more like set operations using the either the denying option, a condition, or the preconditions tag. And then we have a few more critical bug fixes we found in 135. So currently I think there are 4 PRs review in progress, and the goal is to generate the first release candidate today. Okay, that's the updates for 136. And during the development of the upgrade of the policy report CRD, we have found a issue, like we need to figure out how to manage CRD upgrade. In this case, since we dropped V1 Alpha 1 in the development phase, we found that this is not the best practices, because usually in Kubernetes, when they want to drop a previous version, they usually mark it as deprecated, and then maybe they still support it for 3 or 4 releases, then finally drop that. So we found this is a best practice in Kubernetes. So I've managed to figure out a way to have both versions installed for a single type of CRD. For example, in this case, for the cluster policy report and policy report, under the spec versions, they allow different versions. So in this case, I just manually added V1 Alpha 2 schema to the definition. Then I'm able to update the CRD successfully. And if you look at the kubectl API versions, we now have 2 versions available in the workgroup policy kas.io group. So that means we have 2 different versions present in the cluster at the same time. But the next question comes to how do we update the CRD? We found that the ham doesn't support the upgrade, either the upgrade or the delete of the CRD itself. So we have to figure out a way to, while you upgrade the Kyverno, we need to figure out a way to upgrade the CRD ourselves. So one solution for that is to manage CRD as any other standard Kubernetes resource. So, and that means we don't want to install CRD as the type CRD. We want to install the CRD as any other built-in Kubernetes resources. In this case, we may have to move the CRD definition in the charts to the templates so that the CRD can be installed as a standard resource. But I haven't verified this on myself. I need to kind of try it out manually and then automated this process.
I need to look this up, but we have some experience with this and how I think it's not gonna be super nice to do it that way. What we do is we have a job running. So we have a Kubernetes job that basically when you upgrade the chart, it basically replaces the CRD with a new version. So because as far as I remember, I need to look it up and I can send you an example where we do it. As far as I remember, Helm doesn't allow you to install a CRD just like any other type. And the CRD folder also kind of has the problem that, as you said, it doesn't update. So the CRD folder is like a one-time install and then it never updates it. You can have like a separate chart, but I'm not sure how much more effort this is. Because then you have like 2 Helm charts you need to manage, and I'm not sure how you can bundle them easily. But I will look for an example and I'll send it to you, and then you could check if having like a Kubernetes built-in job is like a possible solution for you.
Okay, great.
So that would run as an installation hook when the Helm chart is installed and do the update?
I think that's how it works. I'll look it up. I'll send you on Slack. I'll ping you, and then you can see if this is an option for you.
Okay.
And if you find a better solution, I would also be interested, because we have struggled with this as well, and it's a bit unfortunate how Helm handles it.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right, but using the one-time job that like requires your CRD is backward compatible, right? Otherwise, the update would fail.
So on compatibility, you don't necessarily need it depends on how you handle upgrades. This can be done in many ways. Like if we have conversion webhooks, then it wouldn't be a problem, obviously. But I don't think there's any conversion webhooks right now in Kyverno. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm not sure then, because the type is v1 alpha 1, there needs then to be a decision like how to support forward migration. For example, Cluster API as a project has conversion webhooks. So if you have a conversion webhook, as you described previously, you still have both versions inside the cluster. So you have a v1 alpha 1 and v1 alpha 2 at the same time. And all objects that get written to get automatically converted from v1 alpha 1 to v1 alpha 2 and are then stored in etcd. This is now very deep in the technical side, but are then stored in etcd as v1 alpha 2. And then you can, in like a follow-up release, drop v1 alpha 1 completely, because all the objects should have been converted. So that's how upstream projects do this, if they provide a conversion path that is automatic. Otherwise, you might need to require some manual action, possibly. But there's many options there. Okay.
I found that there is actually a flag on the CRD itself. It's under spec version storage. So It says the storage indicates the version should be used when it stores to etcd, right?
Yes. So this is what I kind of alluded to, is the storage flag is then set to v1 alpha 2, for example. And if then so for example, if then a service retrieves an object, but is making the request in version v1 alpha 1, then the API would translate the object from v1 alpha 2 to v1 alpha 1 to match the request. And that would be a conversion webhook that then runs and converts the actual stored v1 alpha 2 object back to a v1 alpha 1 object to serve the request. So the storage version kind of just indicates which version is actually used for storage in etcd. Because etcd is just like a database, and this then denotes which version is stored. That's my understanding. I might be wrong about details.
Yeah, I have to verify this as well. I don't know when we fetch the CRD, what is like with a specific version, how's the conversion works there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's a good point. I'll try out the job stuff, and maybe I'll try the Helm template as well to see which one is a better solution in Kyverno in this case. Okay, I guess that's it for the CRD upgrade. Jim, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, and I think like we were discussing, shooting, if we need to update the policy workgroup repo, we can do that too. And
right, yeah, I'll submit a PR today to add back v1 alpha 1 and the policy workgroup. Okay, and the next is in the match and exclude block. So this user has a use case that they want to exclude the type security context constraints with two specific names. One is host access and another is, where is the name? The privileged. So at first I suggested this user to write two different rules. They both have like its own exclude block with a specific name, because currently the name only takes a single string. But it turns out that these two rules are actually conflict with each other, because, like, for example, if you have privileged, it passed the first rule, but it won't pass the second. So obviously this is not the ideal case. So yesterday I also met with Jim to see, do we want to allow them to take multiple names in this match resource names block, or is there any other approach? I think Jim has come up with a solution. So currently the issue in Kyverno is that you can't precisely select a resource with a specific name or the namespaces. They are always mixed. So currently we take kind namespace name as separated tags. But what James suggests is that we have this one object and we take the list of this object in the resource block, which has kind namespace and name, so that it allows us to control this match or exclude resources more granularly. For example, in this case, in the kind, we have whatever JV kind you want to match, and the namespace we allow wildcard, and then you can give a specific name or the wildcard name here. That means for this particular JVK group version and kind, you would want to match to this specific name. So that gives us some flexibility when specifying this match and exclude block. But of course, you can always use a precondition to do such filters. But I feel maybe this is more natural in Kyverno rather than write the preconditions to filter out the resource by names. I mean, we currently have a solution in Kyverno, so this is just kind of a suggestion or improvement to convert it.
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial, right, and more flexible. One other kind of, and we can figure out different design proposals, but one other option I was thinking about, just if we want to keep compatible with our current structure, is, under resources, we could introduce names like was previously suggested, but then we could make everything under resources, we could allow a list of it instead of a single set, right? So then you could have multiple kinds, multiple names, and if you combine them into one object, it means that it has to match all elements in that object, or you could give separate lists if you want. So then it kind of keeps compatible with our current structure, but allows the flexibility of a list as well.
Right. But do we want to take the list directly or under a specific tag? I think we need to add a tag to support backward compatibility. No?
We could, or we just, if we introduce the current resource, whatever resources, we just make that a list instead of a single entry, right? So
no, but we still have other tags, right? For the namespaces, kinds.
Right. So now all of those, then we move into that object.
Oh, okay. I got it.
And we can allow a list of those objects.
Yeah, we can do that. But all the previous policies, we have to convert it internally.
Right. So it would have a single entry for all the previous policies. And now in the future, if somebody wants to precisely say that I want this kind in this namespace with this name, they can just add a new entry, right?
But there would be conflict, right? Conflict, because we already have namespaces and kinds. If we move it to this one big object, it'll
Right.
conflict.
Potentially you could, yeah. So I think
Or
we have to figure out if in the match, I guess we wanted to match, it would be like an any rule, right? So as long as it matches any, and in the exclude, it would be exclude. Also, it would be any, the behavior, right? So because otherwise, yeah, you cannot match multiple of these.
right.
So I think let's figure out some options and maybe propose what works the best and how we could keep compatibility and extend, but this flexibility would be nice to have. Another thing which I've always felt would be nice to add to the match exclude is the operations. And that will allow us to maybe do some faster processing on policies too. Because you can just by the create, because today you can define that in the preconditions and it's not very difficult to do, but it's just more obvious if it's in the match and exclude, because now you can exclude certain, like, if you just want a policy for create, now it's very simple to do.
All right. Okay, I guess we have to like figure out a way to guarantee the backward compatibility, and then I'll add the operations option here to the comment. Okay, that's the second topic. And Marcel, if I pronounced that correctly, I see you add another HA implementation status.
Yeah, so I was curious what the status was right now. I found an issue where basically it just said it's targeted for 1.4, I believe, but it didn't update like what's actually missing, like what needs to be done, or what is preventing us from HA, kind of. So I was curious if there are any implementation issues open that we could just maybe take over, or where I could just like help to get some of them done, because yeah, we need this very soon, and if I can help, then that
Yeah,
would be nice.
we have this HA design doc sent out in the Kyverno users meeting. I don't know if you saw that. So here captures all the like components we need to change in order to support HA. So currently, we're working on the change of the webhook server, so that in order to support running multiple instances. But in Kyverno, we still have background controller and the generate controller. So for those two controllers, we still need to change to meet this HA requirements.
Okay. Okay, so there's no GitHub issue like where it just tracks out the work items yet. It's more you have the design spec and probably someone has already implemented it for the other controllers.
Yes, I'm working on the webhook one. I think currently we only have the GitHub issues created phase 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we have a label there. This is pull request. HA. Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly are focused on the webhook changes.
Okay. If there's like something relatively easy I could pick up, please feel free to ping me. Because we would be very interested in getting this in soon. Because otherwise, I think people will get angry at us. So we need HA. But yeah,
So
it's okay.
in your use case, Marcel, is it mostly HA on the from the admission control webhook, or are you interested more in the generate, or both?
Mostly generate. Not generate, sorry, mutation webhook.
Okay.
So we need the mutation webhook mostly and the admission webhook.
Okay.
But the problem we had is we used other solutions previously, and without HA, we introduced like a
Right.
too big single point of failure, and therefore.
Right. So I think as soon as the like the webhook registration and managing the webhook resources is done, at that point, even if we have a single replica doing the generate, we should at least be able to move the webhook into a HA mode, right? Right, shooting?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would already be enough for us. Like
Right.
that would already be great. Just simply because we had the experience of I don't know how much this has happened to you, but if you run like big production clusters and the webhook starts acting up, and then the webhook chain gets broken, that
Right.
can have like really bad effects, like
Yeah,
cascading.
Right. We've seen that reported by a few users on large clusters. Yeah, definitely we want to get this out as well. So maybe, and I think in the webhook registration, so there's the webhook monitor portion, and then there's the certificate management. Those were the two main components, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and certificate management, there's also, I think, there's like a implementation now. I forget what where it was done, but I think I shared that link at one point, shooting. So we can, and we have our own, obviously we have a pretty decent implementation too, so we can see if we want to stay with that, or if the other implementation already supports HA and multiple instances, so that in terms of renewing and regenerating certs. And then the only other portion would be when we first install, we want one of the instances to be able to actually create the webhook registration resources,
Mhm.
and only do that if something is not correct, right? Because today we just assume there's only one instance and load that.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense to me. Like I said, let me know if there's like something that is fairly isolated that I could help with or like implement. Otherwise, all good.
Yeah, I think we said we want to support use the framework to support the leader election, so that we only have one instance active at a time for the webhook component. So that means we have this leader to register the webhook, maintain the webhook, and monitor the webhook.
Right. So to register, just to clarify, that would be to create the webhook resources and register the webhooks, but all instances will be receiving the webhook request.
Yeah, okay.
at
That's
the
what I
same time.
thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we can load balance basically the requests, but
Yes.
there's one instance that does the registration and the
Correct.
setup and so on.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense to me.
Okay. I guess that's all we have on the agenda. Do we have anything else you want to discuss?
No, not from me. I think it'll be good to get 136 out, and then we'll start focusing. I guess some of these, at least the initial HA components, we can also target for 137.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'll see you in the next meeting.
All
Bye.
right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.